You want to
We have some folks here from Renwick Drive. I know we've been talking back and forth, and you're concerned about some speeding and some other issues, some lighting, possible sidewalks. So whoever would like to speak, come on up.
My name is Robert Clayton. I've been a resident of Renwick Drive for over 21 years. First of all, I want to thank Brian Gooden and his officers for controlling the area more heavily and slowing the speeders down. We went up and down the street about a week ago after I talked to you, Ms. Wallen, and we got signatures of 34 people who are in favor of a four-way stop sign at Renwick and 10th Street. Due to the fact that the speeders on the street, Chief Gooden's probably got notation upwards of 50, 55 mile an hour on this street. It's a cut-through street. People don't like to make the left turn at lines in Youngstown Poland Road. They'd rather make the left turn at Renwick and Youngstown Poland Road. It's a little easier. We feel that a stop sign would slow the traffic down and get people to adhere to the 25 mile an hour speed limit. Decrease the likelihood of any accidents involving pedestrians. We've had walkers almost hit. We've had people walking with babies almost hit. Provide extra security for people that are walking and kids playing in the yards. And we have quite a few houses for sale on the street. And the biggest thing that people with kids worry is people drive too fast on the street. I don't know if I want to live on the street. It would actually improve the chances of houses selling on our street. I would like to ask your consideration. I do have the list of the signatures here.
Chief, did you want to talk a little bit about the speeding and what you've been doing, or?
Well, as he said, I mean, our officers have been sitting up there when they can. I mean, we have other complaints, so they try to spread the time. I talked to Mr. Clay, try to get a specific time so they can focus with the other ones. And I know they've been sitting there trying to at least being visible to slow them down. I'm not sure. I don't recall if there's been any citations. I think a couple of traffic stops, some warnings and stuff like that. So I know, like I said, they're there the best they can. As you know, we have a lot of other areas that we try to bounce around in between calls and everything else. So
and I understand that you can't be able.
Hopefully it helps, like you said. I mean, I know it helps when we're there because they see you, but the second we leave, it's
the race way. Okay. We would ask for consideration. I have my wife with me, her sister, Connie Frisbee, whose grandkids are always over playing in our yard. When the police aren't there, we say that my neighbor, Mike Roseman, he's been a resident there since 1954. He could tell you more about speeding. The other thing is, getting off the subject of stop sign, just briefly, that a lot of the neighbors have voiced concern about is, when is the street going to be paved, and street lights. Those are two things. And I talked with Ms. Wallet, and she said we would get the correct paper for a lighting district and just get that submitted. We have a couple neighbors that have paperwork. We will get the correct people, get in touch with the correct people.
What were your thoughts on the lighting? Were you thinking decorative lighting or off the poles? And
off the pole lighting. Pole lighting. It's very, a lot of people that walk with their kids in strollers say that it's awful dark down there, which again, it comes back to the speeding. And the other thing is, a couple of neighbors said, there's a four-way stop sign there. Nobody's going to speed up to 50 mile an hour if they know they got to stop halfway up the street. And also would give the police department a little more teeth that if they blow a stop sign, you get a ticket, rather than see the police car slow down, go by them at 25 mile an hour. So.
Okay, and I know, didn't you talk about concerns with the lighting, whether it's the village versus the township?
Right. Well, a quarter of our street is Poland Village. And if you look at the signatures there's a lot of signatures from Poland Village. And as I spoke with you, you said you would get with Russ Beatty, the street commissioner,
Yeah.
and about the stop sign, about
Right.
erecting the stop sign, who would erect the stop sign. It would probably have to be the village because it'd be on the village's thing and that.
Well,
and you said there shouldn't be a problem with
So
cooperation.
what are we at, like a 10th?
There's still some from 10th on the other side of the street, from 10th towards 170.
Where's the stop sign gonna be located?
Oh, at 10th. The stop
Okay,
sign
10th and
on the
Renwick.
right.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Hey, Bob, how many residents do we have then? You
We have
got 34 that,
58 residents.
so you got certainly more than, about 60% of them
About eight of
signed.
those residents are rental properties.
Okay,
And that they didn't sign because they're rental properties, but speaking on the phone with there's a landlord from Sharon, Pennsylvania that owns like 6 of the properties.
so as far as everybody who's an actual resident,
Right,
you
actual
got the
residents,
vast majority of
That was
them.
the vast majority. The people who had rental properties, they didn't sign.
For those who didn't, was there any reason why they didn't?
A lot of people weren't home.
Okay.
And we have probably about six or seven of the houses for sale too
Okay,
out of that 58 houses. So you've got roughly about 12 houses that are rentals and for sale that nobody's living in.
Chief, what's your position on this?
Well, the only thing I was going to bring up, and I mean, and I don't know why I vaguely remember this from back when I was a patrolman and those issues of stop signs come up, and especially on Renwick when you're climbing up the hill coming from the bottom. I don't know if there's any residents that live at the bottom. I mean, I understand the speeding end of it. The other concern, I know it's more minimal at that time. What happens when it's ice and snow, trying to get a good start going up the hill?
That has been addressed. That has been addressed because the township plows the street.
Right.
The village plows the street. The township comes out, plows, the village just salt off,
No,
resalts.
yeah,
The street is very well taken care of in the wintertime. I can't remember a time where we've had a school bus getting stuck. The only time we had when we had over a foot of snow one night to come down real fast, we had a village cruiser get stuck.
I don't know why I remember that just from back in the, when I first started, there was a lot of discussion on some of these streets with stop signs, and I think some of them were actually removed at some point in time. I vaguely remember that. I don't remember if it was in your area.
There's a stop sign at Edgewater, there's a
Right,
three-way
come
stop
on.
sign at Edgewater, and that's more of a hill than Renwick
Right,
is.
and that's-
There's no problem there.
Like I said, I vaguely remember that when I started back in the 90s, that was brought up at some, but I agree with you that,
Right, the streets-
Edgewater has one
the streets are-
going up the hill the
right.
same way.
And Edgewater's more of a hill than Renwick is. Renwick's more of a flat-out street. Hamilton and Edgewater are more of a hill, right? Yeah. So,
How long you been there, you said?
21 years.
Do you recall, was there ever one on that side coming up?
No, there's never a stop sign there. We had talked about it, and we had discussed it with some of the neighbors. Some of the neighbors says, let's see what happens. Well, it was a lot of the elderly population. Now, they've moved out.
Right.
Few still remain, but they've moved out, and younger couples moved in with little kids who are always running around darting out the street. And we get a lot of walkers from Country Lane and Oldwood that come all the way down 10th Street to Edgewater, turn around, come back. And we've actually had older people actually have to literally hobble or try and run off the street to get out of the way because the cars won't slow down. And it's only going to be a matter of time until somebody either gets hit or a little kid gets hit. And I don't think you guys want to respond to that.
No, nobody does.
Hit by a car.
Nobody does, so.
Bob, I got a couple, if you have, Chief, do you have anything that goes with this? I mean, do you have like any kind of like thing that says, we the undersigned are petitioning township to, or the desire to have a stop sign, or you just have these?
That was just, we just went up the street and just obtained signatures, gave them a copy of the paper that I have here. Gave them a copy of this paper here. They read the paper.
Can I have this?
Yes, you can have that,
Okay.
yes.
I mean, it'd be much better for our records and everything if we have,
Right.
we have all these names, but then what are they a
Right,
part
well,
of?
that's what they read. They read that, each resident read that, and most of them were like, yellow signs. My kids play in the street all the time. Yeah, you definitely need to slow speeders down on the street, and I think that'll do it. And that
Chief,
was the reason.
now they're talking about a four-way stop sign here. Do you see a need for a four-way or just on one of the streets in particular? Would one matter versus the other, or?
What do you mean?
Well,
There's a
they're talking about the fact that, they wanted a four-way stop sign.
What'd you say?
There's a two-way stop sign on 10th
It's
Street.
10th Street stop sign.
Oh, that's right, that's right. So in other words, you want another two-way, make it a four-way. Okay, I got you. Yeah,
They
right.
want to put them on both directions.
I got you.
Coming
Okay.
down Renwick and coming
Very good.
up.
If you guys want to see this. Okay, that's all I have on that. But I will just add to this and follow up, as far as the lighting district's concerned. I mean, basically, you're just going to do the same thing you just did here.
Right.
Now, you just work with Mr. Charvelli, but I got a question for Mr. Charvelli, since the village is a part of this. How does this work?
We can only put lights up in the unincorporated area of the township. We cannot put lights up in Poland Village.
Okay, so if you work with Mr. Charvelli and get the petition, make sure then, correct me if I'm saying this right or not right, you just want to get the residents that are Poland Township residents, correct?
Absolutely fine.
You don't want to get anybody that's a village resident to sign this petition for the lighting district.
Right, we understand.
So that we can,
That's-
right.
Yeah, that's understood.
And you
Okay.
need 51% or
Okay.
more.
Okay, well, see, there's where our problem runs into, because the top half of the street already has streetlights with the village. So the township residents on the other side of the street are hesitant to sign, to pay something out of their electric bill that that they've already got streetlights.
If they already have them up there, you don't need to
Right.
put them up that far then. You can
Right.
stop them at about 10th
Right, but
Street.
he said we need 51% of the street, which half of the street.
Well, you need 51% of the township. I see where you're going.
affected by it.
No, I see what you're saying. That what you're getting at is the fact that some of the township residents already benefit from the streetlights that are there.
From the villages.
Which, let's say, just for the heck of it, they're paying $5.
Right.
You know, so if there's additional ones, it may go up to like $7.50.
Right.
But they're already getting the benefit thereof.
Exactly.
I guess that's just one of those where you just gotta do the best you can to convince them. You know, I mean, Bob, I know you a long time, and I know that, you know, when you talk to people and what have you, you're able to maybe persuade them. So, depending on what the numbers are and where they are, because we can't get around that.
Right, we are, right, there's no way around. That was where we ran it. Abby Moreau was one of the first ones that, I think she talked to you, Mr. Ungaro, and she's still got the paperwork. And we couldn't get 51% of the street because of the upper half being the village and already has streetlights.
Give them another shot.
We'll give it a shot.
And you're always welcome to use this hall if you want to get a meeting together, because you really want to decide, like, what kind of streetlights you want to. You know, everybody may
It
have
can only
a,
be overhead. It can only be overhead there. It's
oh, it can only be
yeah, because
overhead?
they have poles there.
We have poles.
You can't get underground lighting in a, they won't come in and dig up the streets there for
Okay.
colonial post lightings. Now, if there were no poles there for Ohio Edison, then they would have done that for you.
Yes.
But
Yes, sir.
since and the cost is relatively inexpensive now because you have the poles
Right.
and they'll put them on existing poles. So you're not looking at a great sum of money for lights.
Do we
Underground
know,
lights would be very expensive.
pardon the interruption, do we know what the additional cost would be? Can we find that out from Ohio Edison?
Can't do anything until I have a petition.
Can we get like a ballpark so that when Bob's doing this, I mean, can we contact Ohio Edison? I know you can't, but is somebody able to contact Ohio Edison so that he's able to make a case? Because some people might think that it's a high number and it may not
No,
be.
I can tell you right now from past experience, you tell me how many, go count the lights, give me a call up here. I'll be able to give you a rough estimate what those lights are gonna cost you. I mean, if that's all you want is a ballpark,
I think that would help you, wouldn't
The
it?
ballpark, because people ask.
I can do that.
Right, and it's one thing, right.
Talking about the stop sign, he says, well, what's the stop sign gonna cost?
because you're gonna get.
Right, well, that's not gonna cost you anything, but right, I mean, here's the thing, I mean, people may think that it's a larger number than what it is. Some of those people that are already benefiting might say, oh, for another $2? Oh, yeah, okay. They may be thinking it's $20 more, something like that. So, you know, like I said, maybe if you have this information, it might be something that helps you sell it.
Bob, we did Manor a few years back. They were Cobra lights. That was a couple years ago. The Cobra lights haven't gone up that drastically in
Right.
2 years. I'll tell you what Manor's was. Add like 3% above that, and it's not expensive. Just give me a call and I'll be more than happy. But you need to tell me how many lights you
Okay.
think you're going to want. That's where the cost comes in.
Right.
All right, that works.
Yeah.
That works.
She might not want every pole.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably don't, for that matter. So anyways, hey, as always, kind of like as Joanne was saying, whatever we can do to help you out here, because if there's anything, you know, safety first.
Again, you're more than welcome if you
Right,
want to
that's-
get together with your
that's-
neighbors,
Right,
you
That was
know.
the reason for the stop sign, the safety.
Sure.
Okay,
We're worried
so
about
let's go
safety.
back to the stop sign. Is the stop sign going up? Do we need to contact the village? You know, I don't, it's kind of like left in limbo here, so.
Well, we're back to, I mean, I don't know if you're, you know, do we still need a, you know, a certification from a traffic engineer is what I thought we had to do before. and
We
that's what
don't.
you don't.
Didn't we say no? We
I
didn't
gave
need
you,
that.
I gave you the ORC.
Yeah,
There's
that's
no,
No, there's not.
engineer, what you need to do though, if the trustees decide to do that, and you put those stop signs in place, nothing takes effect for 30 days. You have to put the temporary sign out.
Right.
No longer, again, as when did do it, we researched it. I'm only gonna say what the research says, and if you call the county, stop signs are not effective to stop speeding in residential neighborhoods. They do not recommend it. Nobody recommends stop signs in residential neighborhoods. It actually increases speeding. I'm just giving you what the theory is. I did tell that to Joanne,
Right.
you know, that there's other ways to enforce it. You have a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit,
Which
you know,
nobody
and
used it.
you write the, you know, you have the police officers write the ticket. Stop signs are
But
inefficient, they say.
what we've run into.
I'm just telling you what they said.
That Chief Gooden did explain that to me. When I explained it to the residents, they were, you know, I'm not gonna use the word.
Can I ask you something?
But it's more to the point of, and Jimmy's right. I mean, for example, we've got now 2 stop signs on Highland, where
Right.
back when I was growing up and stuff like that, you know, it was just a cut through. And, you know, the chief will attest to the fact that we've had more than our fair share of, you know, it's a cut through street as well. You know, they speed between stop signs,
Right.
you know, things of that nature. But to the point that you're going for, you know, it's one of those where, you know, hey, let's give it a shot,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
You know, so with that in mind.
I was just gonna say, is it hard to remove a stop sign? If it doesn't work,
If
can
it
you
doesn't-
just take them out?
If it doesn't work, it becomes problematic. I have no problem with it being taken out. But if it works and deters it, the problem that I've been seeing is the people that walk on 10th Street, crossing the street, and that, they've got to, you know, be on their guard. Because the people come up the street at, you know, 45, 50 mile an hour, and Chief will attest that he's written tickets to, in fact, probably to a couple of residents at the bottom of the street, and they live on Beechwood, that were tickets 45, 47 mile an hour on Renwick Drive, which isn't hard to do because it's a cut-through street to get up to Youngstown Poland Road and make the left turn on Youngstown Poland Road.
But like I said, it's, you know, if it's something they want to try, but like Jimmy said, and that doesn't come from us just guessing, that comes from traffic engineers, that's what they do. I mean, we even had a study out here on a route that people said that they're going too fast. It was a 40-mile-an-hour road. They sent out a team of engineers, they did a study, and they said the average speed was 43 to 45 miles an hour. When they look at that, that doesn't justify reducing the speed to 35, because everything that they do from a traffic study, from my understanding, is you got to keep the flow of traffic moving. Stop signs, as he said, you can't justify a stop sign for speeding. That's what speed limit signs are for. And if people don't adhere to a 25-mile-an-hour speed sign, they're not going to probably adhere to the stop sign. So that means you're going to have people rolling through too. And again, we'll sit there the best we can, absolutely. I mean, we did it on Knollwood and 10th for the longest time, because people blow that one too. You know, so when we get it's the same concept. It's except that we're not going to sit there now for speeding, we're going to sit there for the stop sign. So it's one or the other. We still deal with the same thing. And all those stretches from Manor Avenue all the way to Venlo, all those streets that have those same, you know, off and on spotted stop signs, where they were speeding before, now they're stop sign violations, and we get them doing the same thing sometimes. They'll blow through at 25 miles an hour.
Not so much is this, you know, speeding was one of the things, was the safety of, you know, the kids in the neighborhood that play, that ride their bikes on 10th Street.
But I think what they're trying to say is, if you take the stop sign at 10th and you go all the way down to Beechwood, that's a big stretch.
Right.
If they're going to do 55, they're still going to do 55 there. That stop sign that they pass is not going to stop that. We're back to the whole problem is trying to resolve the speed itself.
The resident,
And we try to do the best we
the
can.
residents that I spoke to feel that if somebody's got a stop sign halfway up the street, they're not going to, you know, race up the street, knowing they have to stop halfway up the street. That's the people that sign the paper.
I'm just going to give my opinion. I think you made a good argument. I mean, I mean, just me speaking, I wouldn't be opposed to putting it up. I think the only question I would have is, I know she said she could talk to the village,
Right.
but we got to talk to the village because, I mean, that's going to be over there.
Right,
So as long as all the
Rush
I's are...
Rush shouldn't be a problem.
Well, all right, so point being is, as long as the I's are dotted and T's are crossed, you know, me personally, I'm okay with it, so.
Okay.
I'm fine with it too, if you want to give it a shot and
All right,
go from
I
there.
don't know if my wife or her sister or my other neighbor wants to speak.
Well, you sold us.
Yeah.
Yeah, sold.